We got to re-elect Joey Andrews and Jim Hodsma. We got to re-elect John Fitzgerald and Carol Glanville. And let's get Stephen Wooden to the State House. So every one of us needs to do our part, Michiganders, because when we do, we'll have leaders in the White House we can trust. We'll have leaders like my good friend Tim Walz. He is yes, I love Tim Walz. He is one of my absolute favorite colleagues. He's the only governor I know who curses more than I do. But I think that's changed in the last couple of weeks. He's proven pragmatic leader who subscribes to our three-part strategy, GSD. Get shit done. All right. Tim's gonna feel very comfortable here with us, I'm sure. So, in Minnesota, he delivered results again and again and again, from the biggest investment to fixing their damn roads, to free school meals for every public school student, protections for abortion rights, expansion of workers' rights, and so much more. Us Democrats in Michigan have done a lot of these same things, and it's made a huge difference in people's lives. As the leader of the Council on Governors, Tim is the head of our bipartisan group that is focused on defense. Tim led the way on supporting our National Guard members and their families. It is personal for him. He served in uniform for 24 years. Thank you, Tim. And as we've seen over the past few weeks, Tim is the real deal. Just like us Michiganders, he knows there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad gear, right? We're tough. He's passionate about important things like gutter maintenance and house maintenance, you know? He knows what he's talking about when he watches football because he's a damn good coach. And a little swagger, the Vikings could use a little coaching when they face our Detroit Lions, right? My daughters told me not long ago, they were teasing me, they said, you know, Mom, he's like a male version of you. But I think they like him better because they're sure he's not going to embarrass them. But most of all, Tim is a fundamentally good person. He shows up. He works hard. He can laugh at himself. He is just like us. Both he and Kamala Harris understand our lives because they've lived lives like ours. They grew up in the middle class and worked hourly jobs just like we did. They cared for sick family members just like we have. They're cat and dog lovers just like we are. They know what it's like to balance a household budget, just like we do. And on the other hand, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance don't know us at all. You think Donald Trump has ever changed a flat tire? No. You think Donald Trump has ever shoveled a neighbor's driveway? No. You think J.D. Vance can ever open up his mouth without sticking his foot in it? No. Donald Trump has never served anyone or anything except himself. He will say whatever it takes to get himself elected, and then when he's there, he'll do absolutely nothing to help us get ahead. And JD, boy, he's an interesting dude. He probably reads Project 2025 for his morning inspiration. My friends, we have an awesome responsibility in this election. In 2016, Donald Trump won this state by just less than 11,000 votes. He won by 10,704 votes. That's 2 votes per precinct, just 2. We control the outcome of this election. The world is counting on us. Hillary Scholten and Alyssa Slotkin are counting on us. Our Democratic candidates for the Michigan House are counting on us. Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are counting on us. So, if you hear me and you're with me, I want you to say, hell yeah. Will you knock on doors and make phone calls? Will you talk to your family and your friends and your coworkers? Will you show up on election day? We can do this, Michigan. You can do this. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's win this thing so we can wake up the day after this election and for the first time in American history, say, Madam President. Thank you, and I love you.
Please welcome first-time presidential voter Mariah Stewart.
My name is Mariah Stewart, and I'm so proud to be here today to support Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz. I am a proud Michigander. I grew up in Holland and go to school at the University of Michigan. So that means I've seen a few important elections come through this state. But I know the stakes this November could not be higher. You've already heard about so many issues that will help decide this race, so I'll just focus on one that's especially important to me: reproductive rights. I still remember the day when Trump Supreme Court justices overturned Roe v. Wade. I felt so angry and so afraid of what this would mean for my future, my friends' futures, and the future of reproductive health care. He even doubled down on it during the debate on Tuesday. Trump continues to brag about being the person responsible for killing Roe and unleashing extreme abortion bans across the country, something he calls a beautiful thing to watch. Even still, Trump doubled down again, and we know he would go even further if he's elected to a second term. During the debate, Vice President Harris held him accountable for overturning Roe. She told stories of millions of women who have been harmed by Trump's abortion bans across the country. And we know he would go even further if he's elected to a second term because he has a plan. It's called Project 2025. And it would ban abortion in all 50 states, including here in Michigan, restrict access to contraception, and force states to monitor and report on women's miscarriages and abortions. It would give Trump complete control over women and our personal choices, which is completely terrifying. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have been on the front lines of this fight to protect our freedoms. From her time as Attorney General to U.S. Senator and now as Vice President, Kamala has been an unequivocal champion for us. And as governor of Minnesota, Governor Walz was the first governor in the country to pass a law putting protections for reproductive rights into law after Roe was overturned. And when we send them to the White House, They will work to restore reproductive freedom for women in every state. These are the kind of leaders young women need right now. Leaders who will protect the fundamental freedoms our mother and grandmothers grew up with. We saw it on the debate stage. Americans across the country saw exactly what kind of president Kamala Harris will be. One who offers a new way forward for the country, who will be a president for all Americans, and who will turn the page for once and all on the darkness and division of Donald Trump. I know many of us are nervous. I know we're afraid of what a second Trump term would mean, but that's all the more the reason to fight, to remind us the stakes of this election. I couldn't be more excited to cast my first vote in a presidential election for them in this race. So it is my honor to introduce a teacher, a veteran, a lifelong Midwesterner, a true public servant, Grand Rapids. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our next Vice President, Tim Walz.
Well, hello, Michigan. It is good to be here. And can we all agree our future's pretty bright with people like Mariah? Holy smokes. Backstage, I was just getting introduced to Mariah, and she said, Kamala Harris is going to change the world. And that inspiration in our young people who we know are our future, it was something else. So Mariah, thank you for all you're doing. And beautiful lakes, blue whales, all the things in Michigan. It's not as if you don't have it all, and then you have Gretchen Whitmer on top of it. So she is such a dear friend, but I'll tell you, she is so good at what she does. She has convinced my son, he's a Michigan State fan now. So it's terrible politics for me, but he is true blue, or he's true green over there on it. So he did it. So look, you got an incredible delegation, and we know some of these races are going to be close, but we have got to keep the majority in the House. Make sure you send Hillary Scalton back to the House. Make sure you win that thing. And you got it. You've always had incredible senators, and you got Gary Peters. Very difficult to replace Debbie Stabenow, but you're going to do it with Alyssa Slotkin. Make sure you get it done. Make sure you get it done. To each and every one of you, thank you. A lot of places you can be on a late summer day. Get busy, you're after work, kids are coming home from school. You chose to be here. On behalf of the Vice President and myself, but on behalf of this country, thank you for caring and loving your country enough to show it. Thank you. One final thank you. Thank you to my fellow cat owner, Taylor Swift. Look, she's not here, but let me just say, Vice President, I know you're all waiting. Oh, what a bait and switch this guy left on us. Look, Vice President Harris and I couldn't be more excited to have her support. Really grateful. So, and look, it's not as if I didn't warn these guys a few months ago. You mess with cat people and you will find out. You will find out. So they did. So beautiful strategy there, picking on the cat people. So look, all of you are here, but how can we not start with the debate? How can we not start with the debate? Look, what was so clear about it was, and again, not surprising, but there was one person on that stage who should be the next president of the United States. One person. She commanded the room, and I know all of us are incredibly proud of Vice President Harris, but let's be very clear. None of us were surprised of what happened there. None of us were surprised. No one has come with more experience to this job than she has, and no one has done more damage than Donald Trump has. So we knew what was coming. And no pun intended, from the get-go, she had the upper hand. Walking in, giving the handshake. Look, it says something about character. We talk about this often. Shake hands. And when you lose, which he did last time and which he will again, you shake hands and walk away. So I got asked right after the debate, do you think we should do another one? And I said, hell, every day we should do another one. Of course. Well, it's not going to happen because Donald Trump confirmed today he's not doing another one. So give him a little break. That one left a mark. That one left a mark. So he's with it. So look, who he was on full display the other night. His true colors were out there. Not just his makeup. Not just his makeup. So if I heard somebody say, if you want to know in a debate who's winning or whatever, turn the sound down. And you would have sworn that was a nearly 80-year-old man shaking his fist at clouds. That's what it looked like. So look, this guy has spent his entire life focused on himself, obsessed with the past, and the thing that is unforgivable, rooting against America and America's people, which he's done consistently. He said a lot of weird stuff too, so I'm just going to say that. And that was, you tell me you had this on your bingo card, and they're eating cats, We can show. Oh, Michigan, we love you. Look, and it would be funnier too if it wasn't so dangerous, but I want to be clear about this guy. Last week, he did one of these fake town halls where he gets one of the Fox News people to ask him questions that he knows, and then he answers on this. But what was so fascinating about that was, in that amount of time that he was there, and you should go see this, it's really something to see. In that little interview he did, 11 times he reassured the people there that he was not weird. Now, yes, some of you picked up on this. If you need to remind people 11 times you're not weird, you might be weird. There you go. So look, but it's what he didn't say that was probably the most disturbing of the night. Trump refused to say that he wants the brave fighters in Ukraine to win the war in protection of democracy. It's a pretty low bar. That's a pretty low bar when he got asked that question. The other thing he refused to say was, he refused to say if he would veto a national abortion ban. Well, you know why he refused to say, because you know exactly what he would do. Look, they don't trust women, and women don't trust them. That is that simple. That is that simple. But for all of us, that old saying of the frog in the boiling water or whatever, don't allow ourselves to get this way. The most damaging thing that he wouldn't say is he refused to acknowledge he lost the last election. He refused to condemn the January 6 criminals who attacked the U.S. Capitals and our democracy. But in the anger that he got into as the poise and dignity and the sharp retorts from Vice President Harris, he lost some of that composure in there. And when he was referring to those rioters, and go back and make sure you'll see this again, I'm sure, he said, we did nothing wrong. He didn't say they, he said we. And then at the end of this thing, you watched 90 minutes. You watched, like, beat him at the ballot box, beat him at the ballot box. We have got the opportunity, people, what he didn't say, and this is the difference. And look, there's a lot of reasons, my God, too many to list the time we're here, a lot of reasons this guy shouldn't get anywhere near the White House again. But we have a responsibility, and Ken, to tell people what the alternative is, because what he did not do, he did not say one thing what he would do to make life better for the American people. Not once. Remember, after he came down his golden escalator, he said this would be easy. This would be easy. I would have a health care plan on day one. That was 9 years ago. But look, it's progress apparently. He has the concepts of a plan. I taught high school for 20 years. Every one of my kids, every one of my kids had a better excuse for not doing their work than that. They never told me they had a concept of the plan. So, look, on every single issue, Vice President Harris is standing on those issues with you and your family. It is clear Donald Trump has no plan for you. His agenda is about him. And the thing is, I will say this, while he didn't articulate it the other night, they've made it easy for us to know what they're going to do because they wrote it in a 900-page document called Project 2025. I keep asking this, who is asking for that agenda? Who is asking for that agenda? Who is asking except folks that want to take control over your lives? That's the only people asking for it. No one's sitting around asking to give billionaires tax cuts. Nobody's sitting around asking, said, let's make insulin more expensive. And they keep telling us and convinced of this. Nobody's sitting around the bars in Grand Rapids saying, you know, the first thing we need to do is we need to ban George Orwell's books. No one's saying that. No one's saying that. They find a lot of time to talk about banning books, but they can't find one damn day to get weapons of war out of our schools and get those out. Not one. But look, what I was most proud of in this, why Donald Trump spent the entire time whining about himself, talking about his problems, Kamala Harris spent her time talking about you and the way forward. Talking about the future. This guy is stuck in the past. She's focused on the future of this country, the bright future that each and every one of us get to partake in. So look, she took him to task, and we can't say this enough. She prosecuted the case against him. But what I am so proud to be part of this ticket, I'm so proud to be in a room like this, under a whale, by the way, which is quite awesome, on a Thursday night, thinking about the direction of our country. What I am most proud of is, because of all the things Donald Trump has stolen and all the things he did, what is unforgivable is him stealing our joy. So here's the thing. Kamala Harris is bringing not only solutions that focus on you, she's doing it with a smile and joy on her face. This guy on purpose, and make no mistake, it's on purpose. He broke our political system. He tried to break our faith in one another. He tried to bake the thing that makes Midwesterners stick together. We're positive people. For God's sakes, we walk on water half the year. We have to be. It's cold as hell half the year. We don't care. We dig our neighbors out. This guy is trying to tell you your neighbor's the enemy. This guy's trying to tell you that he knows best about what folks in Grand Rapids need. Well, trust me, nothing could be further from the truth. So here's the deal. We're nice folks. We'll dig you out after a snowstorm. We'll say hi to you at the store. Some of us might even let you merge on the highway. Not all of us. We have a saying for that. It's Minnesota nice, is what we call it. I'm sure you have it too. But the one thing I'll tell you about Midwesterners that stretches across that beautiful blue wall of Northern America here, the one thing about us is don't ever mistake our kindness for weakness. Ever. So, for all of you in here are teachers, it made me an eternal optimist, but it also made me understand. I supervised the lunchroom for most of those years I taught too. And we can have joy, and we can do things, and we can be nice, but I'll tell you the one thing we're not going to do, we are not going to tolerate a bully in that lunchroom or in our politics. And again, I'm going to go back to this. Kamala Harris has a lot of practice on putting bullies in their place, and the one thing I want to be clear about is, coming back to, no one should have been surprised by how she performed on that debate stage. From her time as a prosecutor, to her time as a county attorney, to her time as the Attorney General of the largest state in the nation, to her time as a United States Senator, to her time as our Vice President. Every day, every single day, putting the American people first. She took on the predators. She took on the fraudsters. She took down career criminals and powerful corporate interests, which, by the way, was on the stage the other night, all those things. So this time, just to be clear, that criminal being on the stage got put in his place. All those things were wrapped up into one guy. And I think many of you recognized she used a wonderful line. He's not dealing with that very well. He's not dealing with that very well. But here's what she did simultaneously. And this is what true leadership looks like. And she says this time and time again, and I love it. A mark of true leadership is not who beats people down, it's who lifts people up, who lifts them up. So when it's a bully and there's a time, she proved she can beat some people down if they need it, which he needed it. But for the American people, she laid out a plan for an opportunity economy, a place that's not just a concept. Go to KamalaHarris.com and you can see what's laid out there. Read it. Tell your friends, send it to your relative that you're dreading seeing, get it out to them. Because you know what? They watched that the other day, and I don't hear them out there much. I don't see them out there much. They're a little bit, because they're good people. They're our neighbors. They're like, that didn't look very presidential. Screaming about eating cats is not a solution. It's not a solution. But what Kamala Harris was talking about is things that you actually care about. They might not be sitting down at the bar talking about banning books, but they might down there be talking about, how can I afford a house? I'm working hard. I'm working hard. I want to have a house. And because that house becomes a home. To some of these folks, you're a real estate mogul, venture capitalist, whatever, that's just an asset to be traded and sold to whoever you want. For us, it's a place we gather around the kitchen table to talk to our kids about what happened at school. That's what Kamala Harris wants for you. That's what she wants for you. She knows that folks are being squeezed on grocery prices, but let's all be very clear here, folks. You know this in Michigan. I'm a Minnesota guy. Those of us who've been on farms, farmers are getting $3.90 for a bushel of corn and barely $10 for soybeans. They're not getting rich. Somebody in the middle's taking a cut for not growing the corn, not processing the corn, not doing anything. She's talking about price gouging that's illegal in 37 states already and should be illegal across the country to gouge prices. And in this country, the richest country on earth, it's an absolute disgrace that folks have to ration their drugs because they can't afford them. Because trust me, Big Pharma's doing just fine. We need to make sure that folks get their insulin at a price of $35 each, get the drugs that they need. And you know what's really interesting? Because Gretchen Whitmer proved it. You can see this. We did it in Minnesota. Kamala Harris wants it for the country. You take care of workers. You make sure folks can unionize. You make sure folks have money. You know what happens when you do that? The economy grows and businesses soar. She wants to make it easier for any one of you. If you want to start a small business, cut the red tape, give you a tax cut, and let you start that dream that you want to get going. And I'm going to go back to this. You did it in Michigan. We did it in Minnesota. She has talked about it. On the first day she's in office and that bill comes over from Congress, she'll sign the PRO Act, making it easier to organize. That ability to collectively bargain. You know, we did something in Minnesota that I'm like, maybe we ought to do everywhere, is we also made it against the law in Minnesota to have employers put you in a room and give you anti-union propaganda. If you're a factory worker, Kamala Harris is going to keep creating tens of thousands of manufacturing jobs right here in Michigan. And by the way, well, the Trump administration, even if you don't count the jobs lost under COVID, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden created 6 times more manufacturing jobs than Donald Trump ever did. And for governors, we got to get things done. Your governor here made it clear, because of what Kamala Harris was able to do, you're able to have your governor show the rest of the country how to fix the damn roads. And that's something that happened. Historic investments, historic bipartisan investments in infrastructure. And no matter who you are, and this is fundamental, Kamala Harris is out there fighting to make sure you have the freedom to make the choices about your life and your family, not government. Some of you are old enough to remember when Republicans used to talk about freedom, they meant it. Not these guys. This means the government should be free, invade your doctor's office, invade your school library, even invade your bedroom. Let me say this too. It is weird as hell to think about other people's bedrooms. It is weird as hell. So look, we in Minnesota and Michigan across this country, we respect our neighbors for their personal choices. We might not make them. We might not make the same choice, but we respect them. That's for you to make, for me to make. In Minnesota, I've talked about this, and I think this is a national golden rule because I've talked about it. You know how society works best is when you mind your own damn business, things work better. Things work better. So we'll continue to talk about freedom, that people make their healthcare decisions, not politicians. We mean freedom is to get a good education for a better job and a better future, not crippling student loan debt for the rest of your damn life. And they don't want to talk about it, they want to avoid it. Freedom means our kids being able to go to school without being shot dead in the halls. You know it here, Oxford High School, Michigan State. We saw it in Georgia last week. Look, I'm a teacher, I'm a parent. This is the best time of year. Leaves are changing. Friday night football's back. Our kids have a new start and they're going in. It's a time of excitement and hope, everything we want. That's what we want for our kids. But too many of our kids, these first days of school, are a time of sheer terror. A time that is going to stick with them forever. So let's be clear. I know guns, you know guns. I'm a veteran, I'm a hunter. Kamala Harris is a gun owner, by the way, which you found out. So look, I'm not going to take any crap about them, about the Second Amendment. We support the Second Amendment, but our first responsibility is keeping our children safe. And you can have both of them. Watch how quickly they move on and they don't remember names. Oh, they remember names in certain incidents, what they want to try and politicize things. But they don't remember the names of the innocents who die. And Donald Trump actually said when he got asked about this, he got irritated. He said, look, people just need to get over it. And his running mate, Senator Vance, last week said, look, just a fact of life. Think about that. Now, families forever broken. Too many of us have been there. My own son was in a location where someone was shot in the head. Too many of us have this. This happens. You see it. These guys say it's a fact of life and get over it. Move on, do the next thing, work on the next tax cut for billionaires or whatever important stuff is. How morally broken do you have to be to not be able to spend any time internalizing children and teachers being gunned down in the first weeks of school? In their cafeterias, in their labs, texting their parents goodbye as they're standing there, hiding under desks, running for their lives. And to say, well, you know what happens. For all of us, that crap does not happen in other places in the world. We are better than that. I believe in the American people. We can hold two thoughts at the same time and make sure that we say what Vice President Harris said last week, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. Look, Michigan, you know it, I know it. We cannot have 4 more years of that nearly 80-year-old man yelling at people to get off his yard, screaming about cats, and looking out for himself. He cannot go back, because when he goes back this time, the one thing I do believe that he said, this time it will be much, much worse. They want to act like, oh, I don't know Project 2025. I don't know anything about this or whatever. Here's what I know enough about is, as a longtime football coach, you take the time to draw up a playbook, you plan on running it. You plan on running it. And he's going to use it. He's going to use it. They are telling us exactly what they're going to do. And this one, I don't believe much of what he says, and he usually doesn't follow through, but he did do this. He was with a bunch of his rich friends down in Mar-a-Lago, and he said, look, you're rich as hell, and I'm going to give you a tax cut. He did that. He did that. And he ballooned the national debt. And the middle class is stuck with the bill. All those things. Making groceries and the things that we know we need, as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris fought to bring down inflation, to put our country on a path to recovery. This guy wants to add a national sales tax to all of us. You know what I figure? Look, who can blame him? He's looking out for himself, and he says this. He tells you, oh, you know, price of bacon at the grocery stores. You and I both know that guy has never been in a grocery store, and he's never bought bacon, ever. So he doesn't give a damn if the tax is on that, because he doesn't know what bacon costs a pound. He doesn't know what milk costs, because it doesn't matter. So let's be clear. This guy wants the tax cuts for himself, to underfund government, and then those incredible public servants. And I want to say this to the mayor, to the county commissioners, to the folks who are here, thank you for the work you do every day to the pressures. To our city workers, our state workers, our federal workers, our police, our teachers, our firefighters, and our military. Those are professionals. They're paid for with tax dollars. And you know what they are loyal to? They are loyal to the Constitution and the rule of law. Donald Trump's plan is to remove those people and install his political lackeys. That's what Project 2025 is going to do. So in a health emergency, like in Minnesota, instead of being able to depend on the CDC and people from the Mayo Clinic, we can listen to Donald Trump about drinking bleach and trying to find a way to stick a UV light in ourselves. We're in the middle of a pandemic with our neighbors dying, and this guy is undermining the responses. Take that across all of government. That's Project 2025. So look, again, wouldn't answer the question on banning abortion. He will ban abortion across this country, whether Congress is there or not. Be absolutely clear about it. And when asked, who do you admire, who respects you? Because to be very clear, the Vice President was right. I traveled to our friends and our ally countries, whether it's Australia, whether it's Great Britain, whether it's France, whether it's Canada, whether it's Mexico. They're laughing at this guy. They don't trust him. He's weak. He's weak and can't follow through. But you know, when he was asked who looks up to him? Viktor Orban, Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un. This This stuff would be unbelievable to have as a political attack ad if it hadn't come out of his mouth on a debate stage, and he was proud of it. He was proud of it. Kamala Harris was able to, within a matter of a few seconds, use this guy's inflated ego and narcissism to bait him into melting down on a national stage in front of 60 million. You don't think Vladimir Putin could do that? You don't think Xi Jinping could do that? You don't think that folks who are looking to flatter this guy as he shakes down our allies like it's some type of racket operation, rather than standing with our allies? I had the opportunity in June to be at the 80th commemoration of the D-Day, and driving down those small French roads to the Normandy beaches were French flags, American flags, British flags, Canadian flags. Free people standing together in the defense of democracy. Donald Trump knows nothing about it. It's why he would turn his back and tell Vladimir Putin, do whatever the hell you want in Ukraine. You think they're stopping in Ukraine? You think he's stopping in Ukraine? You think China's not watching when they watch this? Of course they are. That's why we need the strong leadership that was displayed by Kamala Harris to make sure that we put dictators in their place and this country stays firm. Look, our allies are worried, but they're also hopeful, just like you. They've seen the leader stride onto that stage. So they would maybe say, I don't know whether to laugh or cry, but just like you're doing it, we're channeling it into joy and action. We're making sure that we have that rare chance in this election to turn the page on this guy, to end it once and for all. So look, we can choose a new generation of leadership, a positive, joyful, all-encompassing future that this great nation has been founded on. We can do that. I'll say, and what is so beautiful about that and about Kamala Harris, we were on the bus touring some of these states, and we were getting off at a rally where there was supporters there like this, and they were holding up signs. On the other side of the street, there were not supporters. They make it easy because they all wear the same hat. So you know what it is. Said it was a group of independent thinkers standing there ready to yell at us. So, no, but that's me. Kamala Harris's first instinct was, and this is the first time we're on the bus together, my wife Gwen, Vice President, and Doug were there. Doug and Gwen, I want to give them a big round of applause too. So they're out working it. But look, we're walking off that bus, and that's the scene in front of us. And she turns to me and she said, Tim, don't ever forget, we work just as hard in the policies we put in place to benefit those people, their families, as well as those people and their families. This is a policy for everyone. Can you imagine Donald Trump saying, we're going to look out for those folks that don't vote for me? Because this started, and I love this story, as a young prosecutor. Kamala Harris talked about going in that courtroom for the first time. Kamala Harris, for the people. She's had one client. That's the people of this country. That's the people she's worked for. And she talks about this. When she helped those folks, when she was in that classroom, or in that courtroom, same way with the classroom, I would say, for all of us. Because this is true too. Man, the symmetry is just too beautiful on that one. She didn't do it and I didn't do it. I didn't ask if someone was a Republican or a Democrat. They're an American. And they came in that courtroom. They came in that classroom. They're to be treated that way. That's what she's done every single day. But the question she asked him is, are you okay? What do you need? That's what leadership looks like. So look, on Tuesday, and again I'll say this, no surprise, but I do think we should probably lift it up one more time. Kamala Harris did her job on Tuesday. Now, Michigan and Grand Rapids, We need to do ours. We need to do our job. Look, the way our country is, I'll go to my grave maybe not understanding it, but you know what? There'll be a time to think about that later. This is going to be a razor-thin election. We're still the underdogs in this thing. But here's the beautiful thing. We get the opportunity to affect that outcome. We get the opportunity to decide in 54 days what type of country we want. So for each and every one of us, this is the time to put it all out there. You heard me say this, all gas, no brakes, we're gonna sleep when we're dead. That's what that means is, you've seen it. And look, I'm here, and don't ever close that yearbook. I was looking when I came here, the first thing I do is read the local paper and catch up on things. And I saw this Hudsonville game, because I'm a defensive guy, wins 14-12 last week, big game here. And then I look up, because this is, you know, it gives me an opportunity to say it, as being part of a state championship team, Forest Hill Central is playing in one year. So look, I gotta tell you, the people who kind of dismiss us, whatever, look, life isn't about hoping you win. Life isn't about, I wish this would happen. It's great to have aspirations, you have to. But how you get things done is you have a plan and you execute it. The plan to win this thing is we've got the best candidate that we could ever have in Kamala Harris. We've got energy amongst the American people. We've got that desire to win. But I said this as football team. There's not a football team in the state that doesn't want to win the state championship, and every year they start out thinking that. The difference is who gets it done. And it takes a lot of things to get it done. It takes a team to get it done. We need to lift up for her right now and get this thing done. So look, I know, my God, you came on a Thursday to listen to a guy from Minnesota while you stood under a whale way in the back of the room. Again, because you love the country. Because you know you're part of this. It's not hyperbole. The presidency of the United States and the future of our democracy could very well go right through this room in Grand Rapids. That's how important Michigan is. So look around. Let's commit to get this thing done. Let's bring one more person in. Let's do one more volunteer shift. Let's make one more phone call. People are picking up the phone now. I'm going into these offices. They want to talk about it because once again, our politics is fun and hopeful and gives us something to work for. So for each of us, don't buy it that she won because she won the debate. If these elections were about having the best ideas and the best candidates, we'd win every damn race. We always have better ideas and better candidates. But that's not what wins races. What wins races is people who care enough to get on the ground and get the work done and take that debate performance, take those resources that have been out there, take that energy and funnel it down into voter contact, get out the vote efforts, and ballots. And ballots. So I'll tell you what, last time I was in Michigan, we were in Detroit, and there was a massive crowd in the hangar. And Donald Trump said, oh, no, it's just AI. I'm sure he'll say the same about this. AI whale. Okay, I'm obsessed with the whale. I love it. So, but look, what I say is, let him say it. Let him try and tell that. We've got 32 field officers over here and tens of thousands of volunteers out working. We're doing the work. And in 54 days, what won't be AI is the ballots cast for Kamala Harris, the next president of the United States. So Grand Rapids, let's work together. Let's chart that new way forward. Let's do it because we believe in the promise of America. And as you know, the Vice President tells us it, and it is so true. When we fight, we win. When we fight, when we fight, thank you, Grand Rapids.